All right, guys, welcome back to the video. Now, today I'm gonna go over my top tier exercises for conditioning that you can do for combat sports. Let's get into it. All right, guys, so if you don't know who I am, my name is Daru. For the past 16 years, I've worked with well over 200 professional fighters in the UFC, in 1FC, Bellator, so on and so forth. I work with 7 world champions, along with getting the 5-time award-winning Trainer of the Year for the MMA awards. So today I'm gonna go over my tier system for the best conditioning protocols and exercises that you could do that is gonna help with transferability, that is gonna reduce fatigue, and also get you in prime shape for your fights. So we'll go over the system. Now, I've done recent videos on strength exercises and power exercises, so you can check that out. Link is down below if you wanna go ahead and do that after this video. But today I'm gonna go over conditioning, right? Now, conditioning is, for me at least, the most important thing that you can have or acquire for your fight-specific overall performance. So when you have that conditioning, you can go all 3, 5, 12 rounds if you're a boxer. This is all-encompassing. Not just for MMA, it can be integrated for boxing, it can be integrated for judo, jiu-jitsu, whatever combat sport you're looking to do, this is gonna help. But let's go over the steps. Now, step 1 is gonna be to define the objective, right? So the objective is gonna make sure that these exercises are evaluated based on their overall ability, right? So when you look at it, you wanna make sure that it builds on aerobic and anaerobic capacity. You also wanna make sure that it has high transferability over to your performance in the sport. You wanna make sure that it's programmed across fight camp phases. So in camp, off camp, pre-camp, all of that stuff is gonna be important to know exactly what tiers and what exercises you wanna put in to give you the directed response that you're looking for. Now, we also want to avoid excessive fatigue or injury risk, because the more you can do, the less you get injured, the less you get overall fatigued, the more frequency of training, the better you're gonna get. So we wanna make sure that we have that, all right? So step number 2 is gonna be choose the criteria and weight. And the criteria are gonna be based off of transferability, meaning real world application to the actual sport. The weight of that is gonna be 5. So you got a 1-to-5 ratio here. So we got a 5 for transferability. Fatigue cost, all right, how taxing is it? That's gonna be a 3 on the weight. Skill requirement, that's gonna be a 2. And again, skill is how simple it can be to actually do the movement. So does it take away from your skills training? Joint safety is gonna be a 3 on the 1-to-5. And that's how safe it is on your joints, right? On the soft tissue too as well. And then also scalability, right? So that'll be a 3, and that's how well you can progress this, all right? So when we move on over to step number 3, we wanna score each exercise. And we're gonna score that, again, through a 1-to-5 scale. Now, 1 meaning poor transferability, just a poor overall score, and then 5 being excellent. This is something that you wanna use consistently, all right? So you wanna multiply the score by the weights for each criteria. So you have your score and you have your weight. All right, so an example of that would be the assault bike, right? Everybody loves the assault bike or actually hates the assault bike, but it gets the job done. It's something that I use a lot. Again, when it comes to transferability, somewhat high, but mostly it's safe and it's effective. So for transfer, I put it on a 5, I give it a 5 score. It equals out to 25 overall. Fatigue cost, a 3 on the weight, a 3 on the score, gives me a 9. And so on and so forth. From skill requirement, you get a 2 here for the weight, a 1 for the score, so it's a 2 overall, right? There's no real skill that needs to be acquired or required for this, right? You're just pushing and pulling and cycling. Joint safety, I would say a 3 and a 5 because it is very safe on the joints, it's low impact, so I'll give you a 15 overall. And then scalability, 3, 5, and 15. So overall, you get a 66, and I'll go over the tiers in a second. But as you can see, it gives us a high number, which is what we want. So from a tier perspective, we look at step number 4, the tier system is gonna be for 4 tiers. So tier number 1, 60 to 75, right? That's gonna be your T1. Again, it has fight specificity built in, right? And it has high transferability. Tier 2, 45 to 59, that's gonna be more of your general preparatory work, right? That's a builder. You can do that in the off camp. Tier number 3 is 30 to 44. Right, that's gonna be more accessories. This is used for recoverability. This is gonna be on the off time of your high intensity days. And then tier number 4 is lower than 30, and that's low return, minimal use only, right? So you wanna make sure that maybe this is 1 time a week in the off camp. All right, so Now I'm gonna go over how we can put it all together and then break down each individual exercise that I use. All right, so listen, if you're a fighter or someone who wants to train like a fighter and use these exercises accordingly into a program that's periodized and planned out so that you can perform at your best, check out the Fight Life app now. Link is in the description. All right, so step number 5, right? We're gonna break down each exercise. So tier 1, like I said, has high fight-specific conditioning, so 60 to 75 on the overall scale, right? The exercises, so we're gonna go with sled push, assault bike, hill stadium runs, rower, ski erg. I also want to throw in obviously some specific work, sparring and grappling, swimming, kettlebell swings, and rucking, right? So first one, sled pushes. This one I'm going to give a 68 total, right? It's full body, high output, right? You have low skill that you need to acquire. So a lot of my guys that can't sprint or move like that, we put them on the sleds, right? So that can be generated also not only for conditioning, but also for strength work, for power work, and repeatability, right? So very scalable too as well. We can add load however much we want, right? Now, the next one, again, assault bike. We got the 66 like we talked about. Repeat sprint intervals are very key when it comes down to the assault bike. You can use an assault bike or you can use an echo bike is my preferred choice. If you have an Airdyne bike, it will work, but I prefer an assault or an echo, all right? Now, again, it's full body, high output, right? And again, when it comes down to fatigue costs, it's fatiguing, but it's not gonna put you at risk for injury. Hill and stadium runs, key factor. Like when I was mainly when we wanted to get out of the gym, me and Dustin, if you didn't know, I trained Dustin Poirier for, I wanna say 10 actual fight camps, worked with him for 7 years. He wanted to get out of the gym and actually do something that wasn't inside of American Top Team. So we took him out of the gym and we started implementing stadium runs over at the college. And one, it improved his ability to produce force from his legs and his hips, right? It increased his conditioning overall, but he liked to get outside. So this is something good overall from a mental standpoint and also from a physiological standpoint. So hill stadium runs, I put it at a 65. Again, it's explosive uphill resistance running, right? Now, the rower, right? Typically a concept 2, but any rower will do, right? You got a 60 on the total score. It is whole body, it's rhythmic, right? And it's scalable in pacing, right? So you can go for as much distance as you want, right? You can go for power, and you can go in interval fashion too as well. Another thing with the rower is that I like to couple it with some sort of posterior chain activity, right? Whether it be a kettlebell swing, burpees, it doesn't matter. Something that is going to be integrated in on an interval standpoint, right? So you can go, let's say, 30 seconds on the rower, 30-second kettlebell swing, and go back and forth. Last one is gonna be a ski erg for the tier 1, right? So that's a 60 overall. Again, more shoulder muscular endurance, right? So if you need to buffer out lactate in the upper body, if you feel like when you're punching on the bag or when you're in sparring, you feel like your shoulders are dying out, this is something that we utilize, especially for my younger guys that don't have the adequate amount of muscle mass. So as we're gaining strength and building muscle in the upper extremities, especially the posterior chain, we want to throw in ski erg protocols. That way it can help their overall muscle endurance for the sport, right? Now, also it throws in core power, it's safe, and it's also rhythmic. So it uses the entire body. Good for snap downs, right? Good for tie clinching, things of that nature. Now, tier 2 is gonna be your primary GPP builders. So you're looking at 45 to 59 on the total score. The first one is gonna be sparring and grappling. Now, the reason why I put it at a 59 was because of it is high specificity, so it does transfer, obviously, because it is simulating the actual sport, but high fatigue cost, so it is very taxing, and the risk of injury goes up, right? If you're grappling consistently, if you're sparring, you know that the risk injury does go up. So if you are a veteran, I limit our hard sparring days just because they know how to fight. Now, if you're starting out and you need to get your rhythm down, you need to get that stress of the actual fight, then you want to do more of that. So again, it does depend on where you're at in your career. Swimming. Now, swimming, I put it at a 58. It's full body, it's joint friendly, right? It's great for overall recovery because it isn't damaging the joints. Now, this does play a part in if you are efficient. If you can't swim, then it becomes very lactic induced, right? It becomes very taxing on the muscular system. So if you're efficient with swimming, you can try it out for more of a recovery day. Kettlebell swings, right? I put it at a 54, all right? I have a whole program on kettlebells. I have combat kettlebell 1 and 2. I do believe that kettlebells have high transferability, not only because of the movements, but also the rest and reflex and the strengthening aspect of it too as well is very conducive to a combat sport, to striking, to grappling, right? But high posterior chain work, and it's repeatable. So you can do repeat sprint intervals. You can do what I call alactic speed endurance, where you're doing every minute on the minute, 10 reps, rest for 50 seconds or so, and then repeat that over and over again while you're still working on that rhythm and that movement and being able to relax and contract efficiently. Okay, rucking. So rucking, I put it at a 52. It's gonna build capacity under load. So I would make sure that this is more general preparatory work, or GPP. Now, this can be done in off camp or pre-camp to get you ready for the actual stresses of the sport going into camp. Now, let's go down to step 6, all right? Now, step 6, we're gonna customize by phase. So you have pretty much 4 phases of your training. You have your fight camp, which is in camp, it's about 8 weeks out. You have your off camp GPP, that's anything outside of 8 weeks. You have your deload recovery day or week. That's gonna be similar to maybe 5 weeks out, because I do like to get a structured deload just because of the rigors of the training camp. And then you have your peaking phase, is usually about 3 to 2 weeks out too as well. So these are gonna be specific to those tiers that we wanna put in. Now, for fight camp, in camp you're gonna work SPP, all right? So specific preparatory phases, or specific prep work, meaning that you're gonna have repeat sprintability, it's gonna have high transferability over to the sport. So we gotta look at tier 1 and tier 2 exercises, right? And you can look at it over here. Off camp, we're gonna build GPP, or general physical preparedness, right? We wanna work on building an aerobic base, right? The wider the base, the taller the pyramid. So what we wanna do is we wanna work in tier 2 and tier 3 exercises. Now, deload and recovery, right? We wanna reduce that joint impact, right? We wanna bring down stress and inflammation. So we wanna maintain our conditioning with T3 or tier 3 type of exercises. And then peaking, you're looking at high output, low fade, so it needs to be very efficient. It needs to be repeatability. So sprint repeats, right? This is gonna be shorter in duration, but you're still gonna work on your tier 1 exercises. This can be an assault bike, this can be anything of that nature that is going to allow you to get that stimulus response, but not tax the body and not cause too much lactate buildup or make your body acidic. All right, so here it is. Now, when it comes down to programming this, I have plenty of programs on conditioning protocols of how you can progress it. Now, typically you wanna progress it with either sets and reps or intensity, and then also you wanna limit the rest times. So the duration of rest limits as you go faster or as you go up into your camp, all right? Now I can break that down in a future video if you want, but this is the tiers, these are the exercises. Try them out in your next program, put them in accordingly, and make sure that you progress it effectively, all right? Thanks again for watching. If you want any more details on this, I do go over all of these protocols, methods, and systems inside of my mentorship program. If you are a coach or a trainer working with fighters, this is paramount for you to get into. Also, I do have all of these exercises put out and laid out in a plan of action, programming wise, in the Fight Life app. So check it out down below. Link is in the description. See you guys next time. Peace. What's up, guys? Daru here. Make sure you like this video and subscribe for more. See you on the next one.